This is the story of the Sydney female computers, one of a team of women posted in 20 observatories around the world to work on 2 parallel projects. The first, the astrographic catalogue, aimed to chart stars up to 100 times fainter than humanly visible to a magnitude of 11, whereas the second project, the catalogue, would register stars down to the 14th magnitude, 1,000 times fainter than our eye can detect. The catalogue was intended for mass reproduction, but photographic printing was ultimately too costly, and so it was abandoned. In observatories such as Paris, Toulouse, London, Melbourne and Perth, up to 30 women computers were tasked to precisely map the stars on their photographic plates. The ambition to create an Earth-centric star chart went hand in hand with colonial expansion via Eurocentric technologies, such as the universalization of time and of survey and mapping methods. Some observatories exploited patriarchal hegemonies in which the computers played a central role as they scientifically analysed the stars while being denied the right to perceive them as anything more than abstract data.
Direct magnitude 11, reversed magnitude 13, revised magnitude 12, direct measured at 2.958, reverse measured at 2.960, with the mean being revised 2.959. Now the direct measured y is 30.073, reverse measured y 30.070, with the revised y being 30.072.
It was slow work, but it wasn't such a terrible job. In between times we'd be knitting or doing crosswords over cups of tea. And we talked all the time while we were measuring, swapping gossip and jokes sat around that beautiful big table. Would you believe we'd play ping pong there when it was raining? But when it was nice, we'd head out to Observatory Park for lunch under the Moreton Bay fig trees, watching the ships on the harbour. Most important of all was the charming Mr. Harley Wood, our chief astronomer. But I digress. The job itself was very ordered. There were usually 4 of us working on the machines, with 2 women measuring star positions and 2 writing down the figures. The machines were by the window to catch the light on the mirror underneath the plate. After we'd carefully placed the plate into the machine, face up with the round corner on the top left, we firstly had to assess the size of the dots, being their brightness or magnitude, for which I recall we had special scales. Yes, they were small discs of clear acetate that we had to slide onto the plate. I don't know how we picked them up though. Maybe with tweezers, maybe not. We were jealous, in fact, because other famous observatories like Harvard had the fly spanker, jokingly called a spanker because it was too small to kill a fly. But one of those would have been very handy, as there were a lot of unwanted guests in the observatory. Oh dear, where was I? Next, we'd calculate the position of the star, its X and Y on the plate. Looking through the eyepiece, we could align the reticle's crosshair over the chosen star, and then count out the lines from the crosshair to the nearest line of the reso grid printed on the plate. After that, we'd repeat the measurements again, this time with the plate turned another 180 degrees, which they call reversed. Only the round corner told us the right way up. As I read out each measure, another computer would write it in the logbook, and we'd take turns since the machine made our eyes very tired. We didn't do any difficult calculations either, only averaging the dual measures to reduce what they called the personality error. We were, after all, only human computers. But Auntie and Mr. Wood was very kind. Sometimes for lunch I would run down to Meadows, and I wasn't always back on time. We assumed all the high-powered work was done by the men, and that our job was just routine. Instead of stars, all we saw were little black dots. We didn't know we had the power to look. But where there was once a lone man and his telescope, we had become the eye of the astronomer and the ones to chart the stars. In the end, we counted almost 750,000 of them, and alone I must have calculated around 43,000 stars. But it's hard to recall any single star. But I remember it now, the jewel box cluster, invisible to the naked eye, but like us, present and accounted for in the logbooks as X and Y. Here it is on this plate from 1909, a moment from the past that I saw with my own eyes.